we are at the Mad Scientist Lab, Mr. Mark Kinninger, showing off the more fruits of his labors. But we're going to spend a couple minutes and learn a little bit about how Mark got into all things Porsche, four-wheeled and fast. Mark, when did you start working on these flat sixes?
I actually went to Black Forest in 1987 from the motorcycle business. Prior to that, I had a couple of 914s, and then I got a 911 in about 85. Learned how to pull the motor and do my own servicing, so that got me in the door at Black Forest.
And what year did you start at Black Forest?
1987.
See, 97, 2003. Wow. What do you attribute your lifelong tenure at one spot to?
It's been a great run with a family-owned business, and made it through a couple of recessions just fine. And you know, the owner of the shop, it's always been good to me.
And how many cars have you built outside of your normal working hours?
I probably built, well, let's say I owned about 100 911s, plus or minus a dozen. And I've built and did motors and trannies and race car conversions on probably half of those.
Yes, it's true, ladies and gentlemen. Mark goes through cars like normal mortals go through tubes of toothpaste. Every once in a, well, it's not once in a blue moon. It seems like it's monthly. There's fresh metal in the Kinninger garage. Now, you not only wrench on these, but you spent time behind the wheel, right?
Yeah, I did some time trialing and then club racing back in the mid-90s. Did my first club race at Road America in a co-driving a customer car at that event, or sharing it. Did a race on the streets of Ensenada with Dave Bazoglu running that event, and was happy to survive that one. So after I decided I was gonna give up my driving talents at the track and spend more time behind the pit wall, I basically spent 25 years of supporting customer track cars, most of them that I had built. And I was out there probably 6 or 8 times a year for, 4-hour endurance race, which we won overall in about '01 with a twin turbo 930 chassis car.
Did you ever have any DNFs for a mechanical?
Not in my own cars. I've had some runs with cars that have gone up to 10 or 15 years with no DNFs and running, once every month or two.
And what do you attribute that success to?
I try not to push the envelope as far as when I do my builds. I don't do any experimenting on customer cars with new stuff. I'll usually try them out on my own first and make sure they're good. That's like motor combinations, pistons, certain camshafts, etc.
And the Tangerine Dream here, that has your trademark 3.6 in it?
Yep. I did my first 3.6 conversion back in, say, early 2000, and the car picked up probably 2 or 3 seconds of lap time compared to the smaller motor that made the same horsepower, and I said, wow, it's true what they say about displacement.
Mark, have you been to any Porsche-specific training?
I went to Yamaha school and learned the technical aspects there, and I was a Yamaha mechanic for 7 years. From there, I was drag racing Volkswagens before I could get into the Porsche stuff, and building motors that would turn 8,000 RPMs reliably, and these were my street cars that I had to drive every day also. I got training at Black Forest from the senior mechanic there on doing motors, and from there it was just basically experience doing my own motors, carrying over to customer cars.
And your expertise is not simply limited to flat sixes, but something maybe that has a V in it with perhaps more ponies?
I get a little bored with 911s once in a while, and I've done some muscle car builds for myself over the years. This one started off as a takeoff turbo from a 930 on a V8, and 3 turbos and 2 motors later, it's making about 700 horsepower on pump gas, and it's faster than most of the 911s I've ever built.
So where's the 2,000 pounds you strapped to the back to keep these tires glued to the ground?
Well, that helps the drivetrain survive. So keep the tires thin and let them spin, save some parts.
There you go. All right, we're here to talk a little bit more about the 993. And one of the questions that we've been posed is, hey, wasn't that a 4-wheel drive? How did you, or what happened to the 4-wheel drive?
Well, the front diff and the torque tube and the axles all come out very easily, and that was the first thing I did when I bought the car, because you know, I was still selling the blue car, and so took it to the shop, spent a weekend pulling out those parts, and then welding in a new shifter mount on the tunnel.
And what do you think that lightened the car up by?
It lightened it almost 100 pounds, and normally I wouldn't do that on a turbo car especially, but the fact that it's got a limited slip in the transmission means that it hooks up well.
Full disclosure, I've known that crazy cat for many years, but I've never had the pleasure of driving the 3.6 conversion on the big block. And I've got to, I need a moment by myself to recover. The shifting on this nice little animal right here is as tight as you can imagine. The throttle response, so I'll call this the pig. I've got a sprint booster in the GT3, and it gives me the throttle response that makes it feel like I've taken the wad of rags out of the exhaust. This right here, with the loud exhaust, he calls it, I call it appropriate exhaust. This has the immediate throttle response. The shifting is tight, the throttle, the engine breathes. The straight pipe exhaust is perfect, and good God, the money, oh Jesus. Another Kinninger masterpiece. Good luck. I wish I had this car. Okay, I'm not going to complain. Gomez out.